fall. What are you going to do?
Well, I think we're going to do a lot. I think, again, you get back to basics. I don't think there's anything wrong with the Republican message or values. Indeed, the last two Democratic candidates have run on those messages and values because they all basically said things conservative Republicans would do. But you've got to convince people you don't just say these things, that you're going to live up to them. And again, you've got to offer positive solutions. We have a big debate that's getting ready to happen with the Democrats, in my opinion, on gasoline prices. A big debate on where we're going to go on health care. A lot of this will be in the context of the presidential campaign, but a lot of it will also be in the context of what happens day to day on legislation. And we've got a Democratic Congress, frankly, in my view, that doesn't want to confront tough issues, wants to postpone them. We need to hold their feet to the fire and demand, give us your energy plan. Give us what your health care plan is. Here's our alternative, by the way. It's not just enough to pick at what they say, but we've got to decide what we're going to offer instead.
To what extent are Republicans' prospects hampered by President Bush and his low approval ratings?
Well, there's no question that's a factor in a given special at a particular time, but the fall elections are going to occur in the context of a McCain-Obama contest in all likelihood. I like our odds in that kind of situation. John McCain's been running consistently ahead of the Republican generic. People like him because he is a straight talker, because he's a person of integrity who's shown that he actually can do what Barack Obama talks about, that is, be and act in a bipartisan manner. So I think the spotlight shifts away from the president in the fall. Republicans appreciate the job he's done, but I don't think he's going to be a major factor in the fall elections.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Renee.
Representative Tom Cole of Oklahoma is chairman of the National Republican Congressional Committee. And to get a look at the complete results from the NPR poll we heard about a few moments ago, showing a growing number of voters identifying with the Democratic Party, go to npr.org. You're listening to Morning Edition from NPR News.
And from WOSU, good morning, I'm Marilyn Smith. 11 minutes now before 9 o'clock. The latest on that massive earthquake in China at 9 o'clock on the BBC. Classical music with our own rock star, Boyce Lancaster, on 89.7 FM. He's joining us this morning to share his picks of the day.
I'm going to start having a limo pick me up. I've got so many. Yes. Before Harold and Kumar go to White Castle, before the producers, before The Office, there was Gilbert and Sullivan, who were absolute masters at taking absurdity to its logical conclusion. Got some music that's coming up in the background from one of their most popular and successful comic operas, HMS Pinafore, and today we'll celebrate the Peter Principle, the theory that in a hierarchy, every employee tends to rise to his own level of incompetence. We'll hear the overture to HMS Pinafore just after 9 o'clock.
And proving your own point.
Exactly.
Thanks, Boyce.
All Things Considered brings you news of the day and the great thinkers of our time.
Reality has a well-known liberal bias,
reflecting on the human experience and on the animal kingdom.
Do you think they wouldn't neuter us if they had the opportunity?
All Things Considered from NPR News.
I laughed, I cried, I lost 15 pounds.
Join us weekdays.
Weekday afternoons at 4 here on WOSU, NPR News, and Classical Music. Gray skies and more rain in the forecast for today, a high of 65. Showers overnight, a low of 48 degrees. Cloudy with rain tomorrow morning. We could see some sun by the afternoon, a high of 60 degrees.
Support for WOSU comes from Friend, Fries & Arnold in downtown Columbus, a law firm dedicated to making its clients' lives in the litigation world easier. Information at 877-FFA1-LAW.
Deep in the tropics of Bolivia, you can hear music as lush as the jungle itself. This music is centuries old. And when you ask why it's being played in the jungle today, you learn something about the history of South America. Centuries ago, the Catholic Church established missions in some of the most remote corners of the New World. Music came with those missions, and now that music has been recovered and painstakingly restored. NPR's Julie McCarthy reports on an international Baroque music festival in the missions.
Four Seasons by Italian
orchestra of the mission of San Jose de Chiquitos. Of the 8 mission towns known collectively as the Chiquitania, each has spawned a youth orchestra. Tiny toes curl around chair rungs as the musicians, some as young as 8, play. They perform barefoot and wear simple garb to express their Incan heritage. Their musical tradition is a cross-pollination of the cultural impulses of Europe and the indigenous traditions of the Chiquitano, the original inhabitants of these steaming lush lowlands. 16-year-old violinist Ariel Suarez says this Vivaldi piece, invoking a summer storm, is uniquely interpreted in the hands of musicians from this tropical spot. As if on cue, the rains begin. Here in Chiquitania, we have these intense downpours that suddenly let up. Then you'll hear this crackling bolt of lightning, he says, and those accents are what we think of when we play this piece.
The way they play here is different. Like 5 hours per day. That's why you have kids 8 years old playing.
Director Santiago Lusardi of Argentina says besides a grueling schedule, the 30 members of his orchestra possess an innate talent passed down from earlier generations who first startled Europeans with their musical prowess.
They really get surprised. They were discussing if there were people or animals, but they were playing like people. So that's why they can't talk, but they can play like people. So they are people. It's incredible what it was in the 90s.
The choir and orchestra of the Mission of San Javier, established in 1691, the oldest of the Jesuit circuit. They perform beneath an altar alive with rose-cheeked cherubs, both ornate and innocent. The composer of this choral work is anonymous. The language is Guarani. Pietro Novot is a Polish priest and musicologist who meticulously reconstructed 27 volumes of the music here. He says much of the work is anonymous, and that the 6 original musicians brought here by the first Jesuits spoke Guarani, which is how the language got memorialized. Navro says the Jesuits used music as a tool of evangelization, but he says the indigenous populations